This is lesson 7-7, adding and subtracting polynomials. You do not have to write this information down, just watch and follow along. If we have 2x squared minus 4 plus 3x plus 6 minus 2x, we can model that with algebra tiles. 2x squares, negative 4 plus 3x. Notice x squared and x are not like terms. Plus 6 minus 2x. We can combine the like terms to simplify our answer. Combining the like terms, notice we have some zero pairs. A positive and negative 1 is a zero pair, and a positive and negative x is a zero pair. So when those cancel, our simplified answer would be 2x squared plus x plus 2. Now that we have talked about writing our answers in standard form, all answers will be written in that order. Example number 1. Copy this to your notebook paper. You do not have to draw the algebra tiles unless you feel like they're going to be helpful for you in this problem. Number 1, 3x squared minus 4 minus 3x plus 6 plus 5x. First, I'm going to add the opposite. For this example, you are not required to add the opposite unless you feel like it's going to help you. Identify the like terms. Remember, like terms are constants or terms with the same variables raised to the same power. Notice in our problem, our like terms have been colored or circled or boxed. You do not have to circle or box your terms unless, again, it's something that will help you. First, I'm going to start with the 3x squared. There's no other like terms, so that will be part of our answer, 3x squared. We're going to combine the like terms, the negative 3x plus 5x. If you want to combine them, you can do as the algebra tiles has and rearrange them so they're beside one another, but do not write it underneath the term in your problem like you would be doing when you solve equations. You can just rewrite it and put them beside one another. So 3x squared would be our first term, plus 2x, because when you combine negative 3x plus 5, you get positive 2x. And then finally, a positive 2. Negative 4 plus 6 gave us positive 2. You can see this modeled also in our algebra tiles for our simplified answer. Example number 2. We're going to add these polynomials. 4m squared plus 5. We're going to add that with m squared minus m plus 6. Be sure to copy this to your paper. We're going to remove the parentheses. These parentheses do not show multiplication, so they're not necessary to have. You can also add the opposite if you feel like it's going to be helpful to you. Notice the negative 1m, if you need to draw in the coefficient of a 1, that may also help you in your work. Identify and combine like terms. Remember, like terms are constants or terms with the same variables raised to the same powers. Again here, if it helps you to circle or put boxes around your like terms, feel free to do so. So I'm going to start with the 4m squared and combine that with the 1m squared. That will give us 5m squared. We only add the coefficients. When you combine like terms, your answer should be that like term. Do not do anything with the exponent m squared. Now we'll continue to the plus negative 1m. Remember, we want to write these in descending order now that we've learned standard form. Finally, 5 plus 6 give us 11. We can simplify our answer and write it 5m squared minus m plus 11. Example number 3, 10xy plus x. We're going to add that with negative 3xy plus y. When you get to your final answer, because there's multiple variables, you may write them in any order you may like. Remove the parentheses. Since they are not necessary for this problem, we can just write 10xy plus x plus negative 3xy plus y. Now combine your like terms. We have 10xy and negative 3xy. That gives us a positive 7xy. The x term and y term have no like terms, so we could just leave them in our final answer. Example number 4. Copy this to your notebook paper. Again, we will start by removing the parentheses. Pause the video and copy that to your paper. Now identify the like terms. Again, if you want to circle, underline, or mark through as you identify like terms, you may do so however it works best in your own work. So we have 5a cubed, starting with the highest exponent on the variable. We're going to combine that with the 7a cubed. Remember, like terms must have the same variable with the same exponent. This gives us 12a cubed. Our answer has that like term. Continuing in descending order, 3a squared plus 12a squared gives us 15a squared. Notice we did not do anything with the exponent squared. It stays a squared in our answer. Finally, negative 6a plus negative 10a gives us negative 16a. We can rewrite our final answer, 12a cubed plus 15a squared minus 16a. You may put your pencils down and watch and listen for this slide. To subtract polynomials, remember that subtracting is the same as adding the opposite. To subtract, we're going to distribute a negative 1. So notice in this example, remember you do not have to copy it. It is 5 minus the binomial 3x minus 7. We're going to add the opposite and distribute a negative 1. Here, it will not be optional to add the opposite. You must do so you can correctly distribute a negative 1. We'll practice these in the next examples. Copy number 5 to your notebook paper. We have x cubed plus 4y. We're going to subtract that with 2x cubed plus y. First, you must add the opposite to show distributing a negative 1. This adding the opposite will not be optional. So rewrite your problem, x cubed plus 4y plus a negative 1 times 2x to the third plus 1y. We're going to distribute a negative 1. So the first terms do not change. You'll need to distribute negative 1 times 2x cubed and negative 1 times positive 1y. Now identify and combine your like terms. We have 1x cubed and negative 2x cubed. Those add to give us a negative 1x cubed. Again, when we combine our like terms, our answer is that like term. And then finally, 4y plus negative 1y combine to give us a positive 3y. This is our final answer, negative x cubed plus 3y. Example number 6. We have 7m to the fourth minus 2m squared. we're going to subtract 5m to the fourth minus 5m squared plus 8. Your first step will always be adding the opposite to show distributing a negative 1. You do not have to recopy the problem every time. If you would like to add the opposite in the original problem, feel free to do so. Just change this subtraction sign that you begin with to a plus and then put a negative 1. Adding the opposite is required. We're now going to distribute a negative 1. So negative 1 times 5m to the fourth, negative 1 times negative 5m squared, and negative 1 times 8. Notice the first terms do not change. 7m to the fourth plus a negative 2m squared. All other terms become the opposite of the original problem. So we have negative 5m to the fourth plus 5m squared plus a negative 8. Now combine your like terms. Remember, start with the term with the highest exponent so we can correctly write our answers in standard form. So we have 7m to the fourth. We're going to add that with negative 5m to the fourth to give us 2m to the fourth. And then also combine negative 2m squared with 5m squared to give us 3m squared. Then our final answer, we will also have the plus the negative 8 or just minus 8. Example number 7. Copy this problem to your notebook paper. We have negative 10x squared minus 3x plus 7 minus the binomial x squared minus 9. Go ahead and add the opposite so you can distribute a negative 1. Pause the video at this time. You should have added the opposite, and when you distribute a negative 1, you should get the first polynomial stays the same, but then all of the terms in the next polynomial will become opposite. So it's a negative 1x squared and a positive 9. Combine your like terms. We have negative 10x squared will combine with negative 1x squared. Always remember, when you combine your like terms, your answer will be that like term. So negative 10x squared and a negative 1x squared should still be an x squared term. Negative 3x will be our next term to put these in correct standard form. And then finally 7 plus 9 gives us 16 for our final answer. Negative 11 x squared minus 3x plus 16 is the simplest way to write our answer. Example number 8. Pause the video at this time and completely work it out on your own. Let's see how you did. We should have distributed negative 1 first, so add the opposite to show a negative 1 to distribute. Check your answer to make sure did you correctly distribute the negative 1. You should have kept the first trinomial the same, 2x squared plus a negative 3x squared plus 1. When you distribute a negative 1, the second trinomial, all terms become opposite. So negative 1x squared, negative x, and negative 1. Check your answers that you combine your like terms correctly. You should have combined 2x squared with negative 3x squared and negative 1x squared. Notice the negative 1x does not combine with any other terms, but our constants 1 and -1 cancel. So our final answer is negative 2x squared minus x, or minus 1x. Example number 9. Which is not equivalent to negative 5x squared plus x? When working multiple choice answers, you must show your work or you receive no credit. So you will choose your answers, then show your work. Again, remember, no work equals no credit. Let's take a look at option A. We have this 3x squared. When we combine it with a negative 8x squared, those will give us a negative 5x squared. And then finally we'll have our plus x. So this one is equivalent. So option B, if you distribute a negative 2, you get negative 2x squared plus a negative 2x minus 3x squared. Then when you combine your like terms, you will have the negative 5x squared. However, it will not equal the plus x. So this is our answer, so we will show our work for option B. This is what I was talking about. A negative 2 distributed gives us a negative 2x squared minus 2x. When we combine our like terms, we get negative 5x squared minus 2x. This one does not show an equivalent answer to negative 5x squared plus x. Example number 10. The length of a rectangle is represented by 2a plus 5b, and the width represented by 4a minus b. We're asked to write a polynomial to represent the perimeter. You will need to know that perimeter is 2 times the length plus 2 times the width. Copy that formula to your paper. You should also write on your paper that the L is given as 2a plus 5b and the width is given as 4a minus b. So substitute those values into our equation. We will simplify by first distributing 2, so 2 times 2a and 2 times 5b, as well as 2 times 4a and 2 times negative b. Finally, combine your like terms to write your answer. So our polynomial to represent the perimeter is 12a plus 8b. This concludes Lesson 7-7, Adding and Subtracting Polynomials.